Good afternoon. I'm Karen Harrison. I'm Senior Vice President, National SBA Executive at Bank of America, and I also proudly serve on the NABO San Diego Board of Directors. In addition, I serve as the executive sponsor for NABO California for Bank of America. So we have a very long and rich relationship with NABO, of which we are very proud. Bank of America has been sponsoring the Women Business Owner of the Year Award for many years, and we're super excited to share with you their talent, experience, innovation, and creativity of these women. You are going to be blown away. October is Women's Small Business Month, and we're super excited to really share with you as well the commitment that we have of helping women have access to capital. In a few moments, I want to share a brief clip with you on how Bank of America is working with women business owners across the country with access to capital through our specialized SBA lending.
You're a small business owner, so you're resilient in the face of unexpected challenges. And now, an SBA loan from Bank of America can help you reimagine how you do business. As a Small Business Administration preferred lender, we know how important it is for your business to consider a new approach when circumstances change. Our SBA-backed loans can help you pivot your business in a different direction, purchase or improve commercial real estate, fund new inventory, or purchase new equipment. Whether you need $25,000 or $5 million, SBA loans offer easier qualification, longer terms, and lower down payments on fixed assets than most standard loans. Our knowledgeable small business specialists are available to help determine if an SBA loan is right for you and how much you may need to take the next step. It's important to you to find new ways to do business and be prepared for the challenges to come. Keep your small business moving with an SBA loan from Bank of America. Speak with a small business specialist about SBA loans.
Now, the most exciting part, we're going to transition where you're going to hear the personal stories of each of our Women Business Owner of the Year finalists. And trust me, you are in for a treat. At the conclusion of hearing their stories, please vote. Whoever wins is going to be based on your vote, so we need as much engagement and participation as possible. Let's celebrate these women together, and congratulations to our finalists for the 2020 Women Business Owner of the Year Award.
Hi, I'm Renee Zau. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Donation Match. We're a matchmaking platform that connects companies with in-kind donations to nonprofits holding events and programs.
I'm Felicia Campbell. I'm an award-winning writer, editor, and video producer. And now my business is digital communication coaching. And that's everything from web design to digital strategy to editing full-length books.
I am Shawnnah Monterrey, CEO and founder of BeanStock Ventures. We provide software product development services in the medical device and life science space. We focus a lot on regulatory, software product development, UX, and human factors. And until recently, we now offer regulatory software training.
Hi, I'm Dominique Molina. I'm the founder of a nonprofit called the American Institute of Certified Tax Planners here in San Diego. And what we do is we license tax professionals to use the very same strategies that are used by Amazon and Apple and Facebook to pay very little in tax, but we bring it to everyday businesses to help them save millions of dollars in tax and put that better to use in their businesses.
My name is Olga Worm, and I am the CEO of Bekker's Catering. We are a long-time catering company, 62 years in San Diego, one of the largest catering companies in San Diego, and we specialize in catering all types of events, mostly large events, company events, and weddings and private parties.
I'm Alisa Beyer. I'm the CEO of Spa Girl Cocktails. We are a ready-to-drink spirit, so we're ready-to-drink cocktail in the market here in the U.S. And we were just named the #1 by sales ready-to-drink vodka martini in the country. So we've been working really hard through COVID, as I'm sure you all have.
Yes, and your product is well needed during COVID. So there we go.
So this last year, I am proud of the fact that we surpassed $75 million worth of donations facilitated to nonprofit organizations. We did also bring on some very exciting clients like the Guggenheim Museum in New York, as well as the Dallas Cowboys, right before COVID happened, of course. But, you know, interestingly, when COVID happened, we also were propelled into some of the best features of our system, which is the ability to help donor companies adjust their gift certificates automatically and really help them streamline all the changes that they were having to adapt to among, you know, their operational needs. Something we actually started before COVID, partly based on the fact that we have one of the more stringent verification and validation processes in the industry, is that we started also working with larger organizations to help them validate users that were seemingly wanting to fundraise for them coming into our system as volunteers and validating those users as well. So really elevating our initiatives for accuracy of information and authorization to fundraise in the industry.
So over the last year, we've been able to double our revenue from $2 million to $4 million. And that involves scaling our team up to 21 members. We also built a very strong leadership team in order for us to enable that growth for the future. As a caveat, with COVID, we weren't able to sustain that growth. Hence, we had to scale the company back to, right now we're about 14 employees. And some of the challenge we had was maintaining and building a pipeline during COVID and really repositioning ourselves and the customers that we were targeting. So even though we're in the medical device space, not all, you know, there's elective surgery and there's other aspects that really put a hold and dampen some of our clients. Some of their stock fell quite a bit. So we really repositioned to help customers that were focused on COVID related projects or projects that were more recession proof. Other obstacles that I've encountered as a result of scaling is really building the right team and finding the right people at the right time. That's been a challenge. As the company grows, you have different roles and different requirements and different levels of skill sets that's needed. And we've been working through that over the last year. So we, again, do software product development for medical devices. And so majority of our staff are engineers, we're consultants. So we're paid by other companies to help augment their current team or to actually just build the product for them, right? So a lot of startups will come out with some sort of instrument or medical device, and our team has customized and special expertise in delivering software products for the medical device, which means we need to understand some of the regulations involved, which includes CE, FDA, and whatnot. And so it can be pretty, sometimes it gets a bit complicated, so it's quite a bit specialized in terms of the services that we provide and the level of expertise and the talent that we hire. We've done regulatory projects like heart readers, heart monitors, where we support our clients in helping them with their device history file, like it's basically their design documents, testing, design information that's needed for an FDA clearance. And another example would be like an assay, so like a COVID-based test, that's called an assay. There's a lot of software that goes on top of that. So once you have your actual sample that comes in, there's some analytics that need to be built in to make an interpretation whether a patient has COVID or not. So we would be doing the analytic piece.
In the last 12 months, one of the biggest accomplishments that I had was helping a client launch an entirely new video channel. And the biggest challenge with that was figuring out how to continue with production even after the COVID restrictions were in place. So that required a little bit of fancy footwork, coordinating with all the different production team members. And we were able to do that safely and separately. And it kind of showed us a new way that we could continue doing our business even in the future. That ended up saving a little bit of time and money for everybody. So that was exciting. And with all the changes in COVID, I feel like that's been, we've all had to be really flexible as far as how we deal with clients, how we, manage our own businesses. And for me, that was shifting from a major client who I lost to doing more smaller jobs for a larger number of clients. And I really wanted to pare down those offerings to make sure that I was only giving people what they needed right now, because I'm not the only one, who's had to cut costs. That's across the board. So I was excited to be able to do that, to just give people what they needed in this time when we're all a little bit tight.
So we measure our success by our customers' success. And what we've seen is a real shift in the last year in people's ability to achieve more balance in life by keeping a lot more of what they earn and getting paid for the value that they create. And that allows people the opportunity to enjoy a lot more richness in life outside of the workplace. One thing we've noticed about working with small businesses, which, by the way, make up the majority of this country, is that business owners are really hardworking. And what we tend to see is people get overworked and overstressed to the point where they really aren't able to achieve much outside of the business. And when we empower people by teaching them how to hang on to a lot more of their money, they're able to achieve lifelong goals like just taking a vacation or putting their kids through college or being able to have children. So it's been really exciting because we indirectly impact the small business industry through the tax professionals that we train. And at the same time, we're seeing tax professionals have a lot of success in this area as well. And so they're able to achieve a lot more life balance. I think one really great example of effective tax planning is to look at Amazon. I mean, so many people are Amazon Prime members. Have you ever stopped to think about how Amazon can afford to get that product to you anywhere in 2 days, just with a low annual subscription fee? And the magic behind that has a lot to do with tax planning. Jeff Bezos basically made it a point to pay as little as he could in all areas of the business, and that includes tax. And so, for an example, in 2018, Amazon made more than $11 billion in profits. And guess how much tax they paid? You might be happy if you thought that they paid zero, like, wow, that's quite an accomplishment. But they actually paid negative $129 million, meaning the federal government actually paid them $129 million to be in business. And so that's the magic and the power of tax planning, is really getting into, it's not because Amazon's a giant that they do this, it's just that they have access to talented professionals that know this information. And so the more we're able to help the everyday tax advisor, arm them with this information to help their customers do exactly the same thing, what we're doing is we're really putting the power of that into the hands of the business owners to shape more of what our economy looks like. And that's really exciting.
For the entire time of 62 years, we have never had 1 year where we didn't do more business than the previous year. So it grew and grew and grew. We were excited because we had reached 5 million in sales just before this happened. And of course, our industry was the first to be shut down. So we went from that to zero. So it was a very big shock and very, hard to figure out how we're going to reinvent ourselves. So we, have been doing some small events, and some people have been willing to have some things, and some companies we're needing to feed some employees that are at work, so they are still able to do a few of those. So little trickles, but I had to lay off all the staff right away, and it was, very difficult. So we found a government program that feeds seniors in their homes during this period. That's saving a lot of seniors. So we all at once were doing a great service to seniors that needed it and put our business back on the map. So we are now doing so many of them through a FEMA program that we're doing basically the same volume that we were doing before, almost. It's amazing. We're very thrilled. And so we just have switched, and our entire business is like in a box now. Like we do individual prepared meals in boxes, and we do it for companies or seniors, or now there's a new program starting for people that are ill and things like that. So we've had to just pivot and reinvent ourselves and come up with a whole new plan. And plus our staff is very busy with everyone that had to cancel their weddings and their events that were all booked for this year. So many of them have rescheduled to next year or changed or whatever. So we're very busy now, but in a different way than I thought I would have been a few months ago.
I may be in a little bit of a different position than all of you amazing ladies, in that I acquired this company last October. So I have been an entrepreneur in the beauty space primarily, and built and sold a couple of companies in that space. And I kind of had figured out that oddly, in my 50s, I figured out that I'm not really a great founder. Somebody who comes up with the great idea and then makes it happen. I've had about B- ideas that I figured out. I just beat the crap out of at an A level of execution. So that was a really awful revelation for me. And my companies were successful, but never what I really, really wanted them to be. I also was never able to raise capital. Even when I had a company that I was on QVC and I was doing really well, I just couldn't do that. And it was kind of what I wanted. So I decided to move from lipstick to liquor. And I found a woman, Karen Haynes, who had an idea far better than any idea I ever came up with. And it was a ready-to-drink spirit in a cocktail that's better for you, healthy cocktail, gluten-free, vegan, low-cal, low-carb, high proof. So we're the highest proof product in the market. And that's actually the magic of what made it taste good. I bought 100 bottles. I held parties. I just wanted to make sure it was good. The business was a disaster, under 1,000 cases, $3 million later, nothing working. So I acquired the company from Karen, and she's still on. So I've also learned how to be a CEO working with a founder, having never done that. So that's one of my biggest accomplishments, and one of the hardest things that I've had to do professionally is how to rethink of my role in a company, and I had to raise the money. So the second thing is we closed on $2.5 million in our initial round, and I'm ready to close my Series A at $5 million. So those are massive kind of like accomplishments that all of you amazing women can understand. But from my perspective, the biggest thing was I will never again start a company from zero. I figured out I'm an operator versus a founder, and I like it. And I like working with the founders, which I've also found is a really rare skill. So acquired the company under 1,000 cases, and I have an amazing team that Felena knows. I brought my core team of 5 women with me from my last several companies. None of us had any liquor experience. And we were the first women in 10 years to be on the front of Beauty Industry News last week, which is this is male dominated, white male dominated. Like, I'm the only female CEO. It's awesome to be in that position. And that's just been a huge accomplishment. Of course, we raised the money. We're expanding. COVID hits. Oh, that's fantastic. But we've journeyed. We didn't panic. We pivoted, and we're really off to the races financially. We're growing about 20% month over month. We're doing national rollouts now with Whole Foods. We just found out yesterday that CVS is rolling us out in California, which is about 800 doors. So even my $5 million round won't be enough based on the momentum.
Integrity and compassion are just really important to me as a person and in the coaching business that I have. And like just for example, when the pandemic first began, the first thing I did was to cancel all the outstanding invoices for my hospitality clients, because I felt like it was a small way that I could support them in the time of a crisis when they were really hit the hardest. But in general, I try to operate out of a place of genuine passion for the people I work with. And so part of that is I've learned to listen to their goals rather than their perceived needs. And I refuse to take on work unless I actually believe that it's going to serve them. For example, if you don't need a press release, I'm not going to write one for you. I might offer to help you devise a social media strategy. If the book you're writing is absolutely not going to be picked up by a traditional publisher, I'm not going to have you spend the money to have me coach you through it. I might help you develop a blog or teach you how to self-publish. Because I really love helping people to tell their stories and helping them thrive. I don't want to become an essential part of any client's business or workflow. I want to empower others to grow and gain the skills that they need to continue to tell their stories independently of me. And that's kind of what's exciting to me. I love people.
So before Donation Match came along, most of the companies that we work with, and really the whole in-kind donation industry, was very fragmented and online. So our product is actually the first two-way really matchmaking site that works with both the companies that are generously donating as well as the nonprofit organizations that are seeking those same donations. So, you know, I think I tend to, I guess, inefficiency is my pet peeve. And so I'm always looking for a better, easier way to do things. And that's what I came up with after having using dating sites before myself. Now, what we've been able to turn that into, of course, is a way to really streamline donation processes. But, you know, as you know, once COVID hit, in addition to working with the events, of course, that we did, and, you know, our focus, we're only as successful as our clients are on both sides. And so as events started getting canceled or postponed and companies getting really tight with their products sometimes, we began helping other brands in certain industries that actually had a lot of excess in the consumer packaged goods market, be able to match them with frontline and healthcare organizations. So it's really interesting and actually rewarding to me to be able to work with these kinds of fluctuations in industries and help solve their problems as well. And, you know, I look forward to really actually making that a permanent part of our system that we're expecting to launch within the next month, actually.
So when COVID hit, I was asked by our CFO to basically lay off the entire company, minus me and maybe one other person as a support role. I did not do that. What I decided to do is, because we had a significant amount of cash, we were, you know, successful from the prior year. We were cash flow positive. We had revenue. We decided to take that and reinvest in the team and the business. And so we had a lot of initiatives that were planned for 2020, even 2023, and we moved those in. So it's part of like just the compassion aspect, but also being innovative is being able to then reposition the team to build out 3 products. So we just launched our first product a couple of weeks ago. We're on track to launch another one next week. And then we have another one that's coming that's planned to be launched or at least debuted in October. One thing we decided to do as part of COVID as well is just change our focus, our objectives for the year. And our first objective was making sure that the well-being of the team, like just assessing that and keeping that top of mind. And then the second one was obviously goes hand in hand with that is the financial viability of the company. So we scaled down spending, but at the same time, we wanted to make sure that our employees still felt safe. So we instituted weekly stand-ups where we really share truly the state of the business, our financials, where we are with, PPP, what that means for the business. Are there going to be layoffs? Where the clients are in terms of signing new contracts, what our pipeline looks like, what marketing activities we're doing. So we've been very transparent, and we feel like we've built a really strong team, and we're nurturing that culture. And that's very important to me. So I don't think we made the wrong step. I know we've come a long ways, and we still have a ways through COVID, but I feel very grateful and blessed for the team that I have. And I really care about the people that work for our company. And so that was really important for me to make sure that they were okay.
I think the way that I answer the question about fostering diversity and inclusion at the Institute is to better understand underrepresentation. And we do that by talking to people and understanding what they're looking to do. 11 years ago, when we first started the Institute, we did some market research. And one thing in the accounting and tax industry that's super noticeable is that there's a lack of women in leadership. When we look at the very large accounting firms, very few are women partners in these businesses and these companies. And just in programs in general, we tended to see women very underrepresented. And I was surprised when we did the marketing research to find out that actually there were more women in the industry than men, but we found that women were just underrepresented. And we've taken this approach with cultural diversity as well. When we notice that there's a group that's underrepresented, we really want to find out why. And so then we're able to come in and better offer some solutions that can help address some of those problems. So for example, looking at the problems of having more women representation in the industry as a whole, we found that women tend to be juggling a lot more in their personal lives along with their careers. And so being able to offer them training and programs that can help support them in that sphere and meeting them where they're at, whereas the typical solutions tend to be offerings of travel and programs that require someone to be away from home to get that training. By being able to take this in-house and make it available on demand so that busy women can fit that into their schedule. We've also noticed for people of color, again, it's that underrepresentation. It's difficult as when you're a young person to have dreams and aspirations if you don't see someone that looks like you holding those positions. And so being able to identify really great leaders that are out there but maybe aren't as well known, but have the skills and the talents so that we can bring them in as instructors and as leaders in our community so that we can foster examples for people to realize that things are possible for them. And while I don't have, hardcore evidence to support that those efforts are paying off, just kind of an unscientific view at our membership, we do start to see more inclusion in this particular industry from that approach. And so that's been really satisfying and enjoyable to start to see a little bit of change there.
I thought I'd talk a little bit about giving back to the community, because as you know, I've been doing this for a very long time, and all of the aspects of leadership and integrity and diversity have always been things that have been on our agenda. And I hope and I feel like we have done a lot for that over many, many years. We have a history of we have some, people that in leadership positions, and we have a diversity in there as well. But I hire a lot of people that are in entry-level positions, or just more labor type positions. And so I have always had the policy of we hire people that are difficult to employ. So we've been doing it for 40 years, hiring people that have prison records or drug history or other things, and are willing to turn their lives around and reinvent. So we've hired hundreds and hundreds of people off of very unusual places and circumstances, and turned their lives into big successes and turned them into tax-paying citizens. And move them into leadership positions of, leading crews on events and things like that. And it's been like wonderful for me and for them. And so I've always been really proud of that. I've always helped all of our employees get things that they couldn't get. I bought cars for people and bought new teeth for people and new, just basic needs that they need, paid their rent or whatever, to make sure that they can get their lives together and get going. And so we continue to do that. And especially in this time, at the very beginning, when I didn't have work for them, but we were just taking care of them anyway, and making sure that everybody was needs were met. And so we're really excited to bring them all back to work now and have created something new for them. I also spend a lot of time in leadership, not only in my own company, but in other organizations. I'm on president of an organization and on boards of like 4 different charitable organizations. And so I think that sort of is something important for us as women leaders to do, and to use our leadership abilities, not only at work, but also in the charitable endeavors and the other world.
I'm so inspired by all of you. Gosh, that's incredible. Like, I love all this. For me, it's leadership. I've always loved being a leader. I don't think I was always a good one. I think age is an amazing thing for all of us. I think I've become a much, much better leader. Leadership to me now, I have a circle for the first time in this role at this point in my profession. I've got everybody under me, and then I've got a board and a group of investors above me. So I'll just quickly talk about the below part. I've also, I think, Olga, a little bit different than maybe some of the teams that you've had or the people that you've had working for you. Mine are like high performers, right? Super educated, often difficult, super talented individuals. And so I've had to manage a lot of these high performing, difficult people, and I really enjoy it. My motto has been, if we can laugh together, we can work together. And that's because it is such a pressure cooker with a lot of demands in these kind of turnarounds and startups. And they're almost always women. Between us, I don't like managing men. I love managing women. I love the fact that this company's all women. I love them, older than me, younger than me, all the way around. I enjoy it. I kind of feel like I've nailed that part of it. But now the experience of managing, the investors and the board is completely different. It takes massively different skills from me. And I have incredible mentors that I've never had before, who have built and sold $100, $200, $300 million billion companies, who are kind of getting me to see how my leadership needs to grow tremendously in my ability to manage up and over at a much bigger level. I moved back to Pennsylvania when I was 14, and you all are looking at the Pennsylvania State Barrel Champion. So I'm a massive horseback rider at the time. And I also wanted to be a very serious country singer. So I spent a lot of time, Jolene, 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 Jolene. Yep, that's what I was doing.
I love it. Brilliant. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I probably am the only one on this board that is a professional llama trainer. We moved to the country a few years ago and bought a few llamas, and it grew and grew into a herd of about 30 llamas, and I sort of figured out how to train them and run them, and we did lots of classes with kids and training and took llamas to fairs and shows, and so I don't currently have them, although my daughter lives on a farm now and she has some llamas. So
I had the opportunity when I was working at Covidian to go to a research hospital and actually see live open heart surgery, physically being in the room, no plexiglass or anything like that, and being integrated with the team and just observing. And that was absolutely phenomenal, very rare experience, and I enjoyed it. So that kind of just shows how much I enjoy the industry that I'm in.
Well, some people might be surprised to find out that even though I'm a cookbook author and a recipe developer, I hate to follow recipes. I'm actually the worst one about just kind of ripping off it. And even the other day, I hadn't cooked any food out of my Omani cookbook in a long time. And I was flipping through it and I was like, no, I'm going to do this different. I'm going to do this different. So who would think that a recipe developer would not know how to read a recipe?
I think I have a really big hobby that's maybe a little unusual, and that is that I love, love, love to read court cases, and specifically criminal court cases. So I love following the evidence. I love trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together and figuring out the whodunit. I even married a homicide detective for a spell, just trying to get my fingers into crime and see if I could help solve any. I haven't solved any crimes yet, but I'm still going. So hopefully one day I can add that successful armchair sleuth to my resume.
7 years ago, I decided to play roller derby, and took me just that 1 year, that season, to practice with the team and get qualified, pass all of my, all the safety and skills tests that you had to do. Never actually ended up being able to play in a real bout, sadly, because my company took up a little too much of my time back then, and in its growth stage, but still had a lot of fun, and I still roller skate and have all my derby equipment and like to skate to this day.